there everyone, it's Anthony back with another video here on Single and Placing. Hi. I hope you're having a fantastic day, weekday, weekend, week, month, evening, overnight, all of that good stuff. We're doing a vlog obviously, but we're gonna be taking Apollo out for some runs. We went to the lake yesterday, and the lake is just turning out to not really be enough for him anymore unless I go around it like a lot. But he's just been having a rough time, listening and responding to commands and stuff when we're out at the lake, even though because he has to be on the leash the whole time. He starts to get anxious. He wants to be off the leash. And so he's been pulling a little bit more. So I think we're going to have to start doing some more on the leash training. He does okay, but it's just been getting a little bit more difficult to take him somewhere that he can't be off leash. So we are taking him to the off leash place that we went to near Boulder a couple of vlogs ago. I love it out there. It was beautiful. I had a blast. He really liked it. So this is day 3 of my 4-day little mini vacation. Oh my gosh, how many cars are gonna be coming along here? Jeez Louise, luckily this bus will create a little break for me. Wow, that was like the most traffic I've seen on this road for a while. So I want to take him back up there. It was just beautiful. I had a lot of fun, and yeah, so that might be our new pick for dog park spots. I tried getting the annual pass for parking there. I couldn't figure it out on the website, so hopefully there's more instruction on that sign at the entrance. And then I submitted a form for him to be registered for voice and sight control. You don't have to go do a test or anything. It's just you fill out a form. But they said it could take up to a month. So we're gonna play it a little fast and loose until we get that form. And if I do get asked like, hey, does he have his thing? I'll just be like, yeah, it's being processed. They said it would take a while though. So we'll see. And there's a whole bunch of Boulder County parks and trails that allow dogs under voice and sight control. So it's gonna open up a few more options for us. But anyway, other thing that I'm trying right now, I was watching videos on my wireless microphone set that I bought, because when I plug it into its little charging thing, when I put the mic in there and the receiver, it gives a little number. It says like 11 hours or 4 hours, and I always thought that was based on the amount of charge it had, like that was like how long it could record with the battery it currently has. And so I charged it overnight last night because one of them was down to like 4 hours, and the other one was down to like 10. And I was like, that's really weird that that when I charge it intermittently, it's not giving it enough. So I was like, I'll just plug it in overnight. So I woke up this morning and they were at exactly the same. And I was like, oh, please tell me I don't have a defective set of wireless microphones. So I went online to figure out what I'm doing wrong, and it turns out that these microphones actually save the audio file independently of the video as well as on the video when you're recording. And I was like, oh, I had no idea. So within each of these little microphones is actually storage, and so it stores all of your audio in case you need to do it as a voiceover later, or you just keep the audio fluid if you need to cut up the video. So it just makes it really cool. So I didn't know that. So there's a little USB-C plug on each of the microphones. You plug that into your computer and it looks just like a storage device. So I just had to go in and delete all of the audio, and now they both say 15.1 hours, which is the max that they have. So it wasn't a battery thing. They were fully charged. It's telling you how many hours of recording you have left on the internal storage. So I thought that was really cool because I can even leave the receiver and everything at home if I wanted to, and just record directly onto the microphone and the action camera and not even use the receiver, and then pair them later on if I wanted to. I don't know what situation I'd need that for, but I could technically do it. So yeah, it's really cool. And then the other thing, I was poking around inside this box because it has all these little bits and bobs and odds and ends. And so I always use the USB-C one. This little thing plugs into the receiver, this USB-C. That's what I use for my camera, but there was an iPhone one in there too. And I always wondered, like, do they have cameras that take iPhone or take that lightning plug? I was like, that's very strange. It was like, maybe other countries, I don't know. Well, then I was reading into it, and it turns out, no, you're meant to plug the receiver into the charging port on your phone, and now I can record utilizing these mics directly to my iPhone when I'm in the car or when I'm using my phone for certain clips. So I'm hoping it really helps with the road noise and background noise, and I can really strip that out. So I'm curious to see what this is going to sound like when I get home to edit this, because this is the first time I'm trying it, and it's picking up sound. I can see it right here on the receiver, and it's plugged into my phone. So I'm hoping it works. You'll have to let me know. Does this sound cleaner driving than it normally does? Maybe I'll try not doing any sort of audio editing, depending on how good it sounds. But you'll have to let me know. Does this sound cleaner? Does it sound crisper? I've got it right here on my seatbelt. I was thinking of putting it up here. I don't know. I might have to play with some different places just to get some good audio. But that would be a little bit of a game changer, because I always struggle with trying to clean up the highway noise and stuff, or weather. So if this works out well, this could be my new favorite. Ooh, interesting. There's a restaurant here in town called Hacienda Colorado. It's like a Mexican kind of Tex-Mex place, and they've got a number of locations. There's one right here by the house, and there was nobody parked outside, and just like an askew piece of paper taped to the door. So I'm wondering what's going on. I might investigate that later. It's pretty good food. It's not like authentic by any means, but it's good. It's a good place to go for like a margarita happy hour situation. So I'd be bummed if they were closed. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. The last recording was from us going to this dog park, so we're going back again. I don't have a ton of updates for you, so this might be a little bit of a time-lapse situation since it's only been 2 days. I recorded us going around the lake yesterday, but I honestly didn't have like much to discuss, so I was just kind of quiet, and then all I was saying was like yelling at the boy, like, hey, come on, get it together, let's go, come on, like, why are you doing this? I was like, do people really just want to hear me fussing with Apollo for an hour? So then I was like, okay, well, all right, guys, I'm going to go and do a time-lapse portion now. But by the time we got to that point, we were already like 3/4 of the way done with the walk. So it would have been like a tiny little time-lapse at the end. And I was like, this isn't really like, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. So I don't think I'm going to post that. But yeah, we're just bopping around today. We did a lot of laying around the house, and then I went outside and just cleaned up the yard a little bit, picked up some dog poop. It did snow, but it's pretty much all melted, at least in the backyard. Swapped out laundry. I made a HelloFresh meal for lunch because I need to get rid of those, or I need to use them actively. So now I'm down to, because I had one for dinner a couple of nights ago, so now I'm down to the 4 that I should have for the week. So I've just got to make 4 of them, and then I'll be okay. What else? So on the last vlog, I was talking about my buddy Matthew and his partner Luke coming into town, and we had gone to brunch, and then I was going to potentially go back out with them that night. After that walk. Well, they ended up going out to a few different bars, bar hopping after brunch. They're out here on vacation, and so they wrote me back and they're like, we're probably just gonna go back to the house. We kind of peaked early today and we just want to go lay down. I was like, okay. So they went and just kind of did it around the house thing on Saturday night. And so I stayed home too, and I just kind of did some diamond painting. I worked a little bit on Cozy Evening. I got a 1.5 sections done there. And then I got another section and a little bit done on Crimson Oracle. So it was nice to kind of work on some whips that I haven't really touched in a little bit. Yeah, it was nice to get some progress done there. I noticed that one of the reasons why this is such a weird thing, a weird discovery of how my brain works, but I take longer and get more frustrated working on a section if I've put the release paper vertically to where I'm working as opposed to horizontally. I know that's crazy. I don't know if it's because it's just that little further reach to the top of the release paper, because the release paper is a rectangle. When I put it vertically, I just, for whatever reason, I'm just like, oh, like, come on. And then when it's horizontal, I feel like I'm not fussing with it as much or as annoyed by having to reach up. I don't know. I can't tell you what it is or why, but I prefer working on sections that are horizontal blocks as opposed to taller ones. Very strange. And I learned that because I peeled off the release paper that was all vertical on Crimson Oracle and I switched it the other way, and I was like, oh, this is much better. I don't know why. So I did that to Cozy Evening, and then I'm going to do it to Star Maker whenever I get back to that kit. But yeah, at some point I switched from doing those vertical sections to horizontal. So I'm pulling all these whips down that I haven't worked on in a while, and I'm like, why was I doing it like that? I don't like that at all. So you'll have to let me know if you have a preference or if you've ever really cared, but I like horizontal placement of my release paper. It just works better in my head somehow. So anyway, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day. It's cold. It's only 35 degrees, so it's chilly, but the sun's out, blue skies. There's a little bit of snow all over the foothills and stuff, so it'll have a different look than what it had 2 days ago when we went. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's very lovely. So I put a little layer of sunscreen on, and I also brought my heavy coat, and I think I've got the spikes in the trunk just in case I need them. But I think we're just going to stick to the flat trail and not do any of the hilly stuff today. We'll see. We'll mess around. It also depends on how many people are there, all that good stuff. So yeah, I worked on those whips, and the reason why I have those going, and I mentioned it in the last one, I ran out of sparklers from DP with Sparklers for Polani, and then I accidentally shipped them to the house I used to live at, so I have to go get those whenever they get here. And then of course Head of Medusa's done. So I'm like, well, I'll just work on whips until I finish one, and then I'll probably swap over to a different project. I do have the secret cross-stitch conversion that I need to keep working on, but I'm like, well, until I can formally talk about where it's from and the shop and everything, I'm kind of okay just hitting pause for now, so we'll see. And then, what else did I do? Oh, I went through my Google Keep. Was that yesterday? Yeah, it was. I updated my entire Google Keep. It was so incorrect because I had some finishes that I hadn't cleared off and entered all the info for. There obviously was a lot more stuff to add to from my stash that I hadn't added in yet. So I just went into the mud room where I store all of my boxed diamond paintings and just started pulling them out and confirming that they were on the Google Keep, making sure I had all the information. Like, some of them still said to be unboxed when the unboxing had been done, so I had to go back to the channel and look up the date that I had done the unboxing and enter all that in. So I'm going to try to be better about that in real time. But it had been like maybe a month or longer that I had actually gone in and cleaned all of that up, because there was stuff from like the Craftably sale that I had gotten in. So it's been like a couple months maybe. So yeah, just a lot of stuff needed to be entered in. A couple of them I couldn't, I have to like take a screenshot for the image to put on Google Keep and crop it, and so it was a little time consuming, but it was fun. I like doing that kind of stuff. And so Google Keep is all 100% up to date, and I was also numbering them as I was confirming that I had everything I needed. So as of today, I have 100 kits in my home. That includes all my whips. That doesn't include finishes, but whips and stash, 100, which is like, I kind of knew it, but to see it in front of me as exactly 100 was like, ugh. But once I get Polani done, you know, there's 3 or 4 of those that are almost done, right? So I can kind of knock those out. And then I was thinking about how many I have coming in right now between Jade, Treasure Studio Arts, another company, and DIY Moon Shop. So I've got 9 that are in process, in transit, whatever you want to call it. And when we get to the dog park, I'll kind of run through that stuff that I normally do. But yeah, I was just like, okay, so you'll have 109 between whips, stash, and what's on a, you know, on a boat or on a ship or on a plane or on a truck, you know, making their way to you. I'm like, oh my gosh. But luckily I don't really have anything that I need or want or am looking for right now. Like, I don't have anything that's like, ooh, should I click the buy button? Like, I haven't done that in a minute. So the only thing that I did pick up is, I think I mentioned it already, but Jade released Cleopatra from Henry Clive. And so, did I count that in my... I think I did. Yeah, I think that's it. It's either 109 or 110. But, yeah, it's a lot. And I also used one of the colors, because you can color code in Google Keep. I color coded some of them in yellow, which means marked for D-stash whenever I decide to do that, because I hadn't really gotten a good chance to take a good hard look at some of those kits. And so I earmarked a lot of larger square drill kits for D-stash, because if I'm going to do a large square drill, I want it to be a cross-stitch conversion. So there's a couple that I won't let go of because I just love the image too much. Like Sedona Majesty was one that I was like, yeah, I'm not letting that one go. The same with Evening Melodies. I want to hang on to that one. But there's just some that are they don't spark as much interest, or, you know, I just don't see myself getting to them very soon. Dusk Till Dawn was one that I was like, this is huge. What was I thinking? Because I'm not particularly in love with the imagery. And then just some other ones that just for personal reasons, I'm like, you know, they are really pretty images, but I'd be fine letting them go. So like What Lies Beneath, I think is going to be de-stashed. Medusa, only because I kind of already have a Medusa, even though that Christopher Lavelle image is awesome. I'm like, I've got my Medusa. So Medusa, House on a Cliff, Sunken Ship, Rainbow Flower Power, even though I really like that one too. Just a lot of those large square drill canvases, I'm just like, I'd rather do a cross-stitch conversion of something that is really speaking to me than any of these. So, you know, no knock to the artists or anything like that. It's just personal preference and tastes have changed. Wolf Pack, that was another one that I thought would be cool because I've got my wolf here, but when I look at it, I'm just like, I'm just not as drawn to this as I was hoping I would, as I thought I would be. So a lot of that stuff. The some that will stay though are like all of the big Yume arts. So like Still Waiting, Sakura Festival, Hong Kong Lights. I mean, those are just stunning. But some of these other ones, I'm just like, especially if they are not landscape orientation. If they're tall, like Wolfpack, What Lies Beneath. For whatever reason, I'm just not as drawn to that orientation of images for some reason. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is, but anyway, so at the end of the day, I have about 15 kits, all of them square, that I'm like, we can part with these. So I just need to figure out how I'm going to do that. Somebody on a comment mentioned pirate ship, and I've heard of that before. They advertise on podcasts a lot, that and Ship Station. Oh my gosh, look. Okay, sorry, you can't see this, but there is an entire hill with just a ton of elk. Oh my goodness. Maybe that's where all that poop comes from. You can maybe see them if you're looking behind me in just like the past 5 or 10 seconds. It's off on this side. There's just like a whole hill of elk. So, anyway. But we're going to go back to this little spot because I just really love it. Apollo really seemed to like it. He was beat after that. Absolutely tuckered out. He passed out in the car and was just like donezo. So I'm like, this is good. I think we need to keep coming back here. So that's what's going to happen. And like I said, I'll try to get the annual pass and stuff because it unlocks all of Boulder County's parks and trails, not just this one. So $25 for a year as opposed to $5 per visit. I mean, this will already have been $10 worth in 2 days. So of course I'll do that. And I think so we're 21 minutes in. Most of the time driving to the other dog park is about 25 minutes. So I think it's pretty much the same distance, but the view is completely different, so much better. So I think we found our new dog park. I just have to get him registered and all that stuff. I've been thinking about getting him into formal obedience training at the same time. I've been looking at prices locally, and it's expensive, but it'll be worth it. And they say, I've heard a lot of videos are like, dog trainers, it's like 30% training. What is he, sir? I don't know what that was. What is that? Hold on. Oh, it's just like a little rock. Oh my God. It's like, what is he eating? They say dog training is like 30% for the dog and 70% for the owner, and I totally agree and could totally see that. Like, a lot of what I need is just like the right techniques and tools to communicate with him effectively, you know. I think he's a well-behaved dog overall, but I think I could be doing more to like guide him in the right direction. So anyway, but yeah, we're just having a good 4-day weekend. Tomorrow I plan on taking him up to cross-country ski. The weather's supposed to warm up a little bit more, and so I'll feel better about being on the roads going up into the mountains. So we're going to go up to Dillon Lake most likely and ski on the frozen lake. So that'll be exciting. We just have to make sure it's an early morning. I want to get up there and kind of get going and then try to get down in time just to, you know, anytime you have a long weekend, sometimes I feel like you just get into the zone of relaxation and chilling and hanging out, and then it's like the day before you're supposed to come back or that evening before you're supposed to come back, and suddenly that scramble of just making sure you're prepped to get back into work mode can just start you off on a stressful note because you're like, oh, I've just been lounging around this whole time and think like I've got all the time in the world, and then the night before you're supposed to go back, it's like, okay, and where's my laptop, and do I have this, and oh God, now I've got to like try to think about all the stuff that I left off, like I was missing, and you know, so I just want to make sure that I give myself plenty of time to get into that mindset before I go back in. So anywho, there's a lot of cows out here too. I mentioned last time that there was like lots of like cow patties and stuff. So I'm wondering if one of the reasons why they want you to have that voice and sight control is because there'll be cows there grazing while your dog's out too. I don't know. I'm curious because if that's the case, I might keep him on the leash. I don't know how he would do around a bunch of cows. And I don't know how aggressive they are. Like if there's a dog sniffing around them, if they're going to just like kick him, you know. So we'll see. Maybe they do grazing at night or on certain days. I don't know. I just found it curious that there was so much poo all over the place. But anyway, so that'll be the plan for tomorrow, which is Tuesday at the time of filming this. And then I'll do a vlog while we go up skiing, of course. But yeah, still just kind of on cloud nine a little bit, not only because my friends were in town, and we'll talk about, so we did some stuff yesterday, so I didn't see them on Saturday, unfortunately. After brunch, I didn't see them again after we left from this hike, or this walk. And then Sunday, we were supposed to go and do a dinner at their friend's house. And if you remember from the last vlog, I was like, oh, I think I might try to make this goddess dish with the chickpeas and the hummus and the cucumber salad and this and that. And then also maybe that roasted vegetable salad. Well, here we are. We're here. And there is only 2 cars. This is a choice location. I feel a little bit spoiled with this setup, because there's less people here than there was last time. I'm digging this on a Sunday. I mean, come on, this is great. Okay, are you ready, Apollo? Okay, we'll keep talking about the salad and the what happened with dinner stuff. Let me just park and get all clipped up. And I want to do the annual parking thing, so I'm gonna have to get on there and do that. I might also listen back to this clip and see if the sound sounds better. So, okay, I'm gonna let you go so we can get clipped and snipped and popped and locked. Okay, bye. Okie dokie. Right as we got here, like 3 cars pulled up. I was like, okay, let's get some distance between us. One of them looks like she's just taking photography or taking photos, and then somebody else had a couple other cars had a packed car full of dogs. I was like, let's go, let's move. So we've got the boy here, and we're actually taking a little different path, I think, to get up to the loop, and we're going backwards this time, so I'm hoping it gives a little bit of a different view. We shall see. But I don't see any cows roaming loose out here. I just have a dog that's already munching on poop. Hey, let's go. Gross. All right, that's the last time I'll say it. I'm not going to even care. It's especially frustrating because this morning he did not want to eat his breakfast. So I kept putting it in the fridge and taking it out and putting it down for him and adding some more stuff to try to entice him. And he just did not want to eat today yet. He had like a quarter of one bowl. And the other day he ate 3 of that same stuff. So it's just like so random. And then we bring him out here and he's like, poop. It's like, sir, I spend a lot on that good food. So anyway. So yeah, I didn't end up meeting my buddies for dinner because yesterday they ended up texting me probably around noon-ish, and I'm glad that they wrote me when they did, because I was putting together the shopping list to go make all that stuff, and I was writing a note, and then the text came through and they're like, hey, our friend is not feeling well, and so we're probably not going to do a cookout here tonight. Apollo, come on, let's go. Okay, we're just going to keep moving. He'll catch up. Yeah, they're like, it's not going to happen. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer. And they're like, yeah, and she's been our ride and stuff. So, and she lives in like southwest, like straight south from me, like 20 minutes. But it's so far away from downtown, like to get to downtown Denver from where she's at, or anything really that exciting is a haul. Like, she's definitely in a commuter's area, not a lot of like attractions and fun stuff around there. It's just like plots of land that have been developed into housing developments, but no real entertainment and stuff. So I could absolutely see someone feeling a little trapped if they came to visit for vacation without a vehicle and were down in that area. Like, there's nothing even really walkable, like not even like a grocery store. So I was like, well, how about I take you up to Golden, you know, to my neck of the woods, and we just bop around and, you know, see where the evening takes us. I think that'd be fun. And they're like, yeah. And so I go. So I picked them up from her house. It's about a 20-minute drive from me. This way. I went and picked them up from her house and drove them up to Golden. And so we went to Golden Mill, which is like this food hall. And they've got like 4 or 5 different food vendors in there. There's a barbecue place and a chicken place. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if you guys should get that coming from Nashville and all. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to get barbecue here. And so they, my shoes are getting really muddy. So they got, I forget, I think they got some of the, there's a Mexican food place there. So they got that. And then there's also a sushi place, but they said that they had a ton of sushi the night before. They ended up just ordering that instead of going out. And so we went to Golden Mill, and this place also has like a pour your own beer situation. So you just hold this little card up to the little beeper thing, and then, or the little like thing above the tap, and it's like, okay, I know you. Go ahead and pour. And so you can start pouring, and it just charges you by the ounce. This dog's gonna get himself hurt. Come on, let's go. His nose, he's like following his nose so hard right now. It's kind of funny. He's bouncing all over. I see lots of bunny tracks and stuff, so I think he's just in hunting mode. Or what he believes is hunting mode. So we did that, and then we walked from there. And also my buddy Joe, he's the one I went to Rhode Island with last year, he met up with us, and then Scott, my roommate Scott, met up with us. And then Joe left right around 7 o'clock-ish, and then Scott stayed with us. And we walked over to this little, they call it a speakeasy, but it's really just like an alley-facing bar distillery. And so they do whiskey and gin drinks. And so we hung out in there and had a couple drinks, and then we walked over to, it's like facing the same alley as Ace High, which is one of the karaoke bars I frequent in Golden. And it was actually kind of quiet. So we actually, me and Luke were the only 2 singers between the 4 of us. Matt and Scott don't sing, but we all played pool and sang a couple songs, and it just so happened to be a karaoke competition. And so the DJ's like, all right, you know, bring out your A game. First winner is $100. Let's go. Second prize is a $25 tab. And then third prize is a pitcher of beer. And so me and Luke were singing and just having fun and playing pool. And then when the winners got announced, I got second place and Luke got first. So it was so cool. I was like, you came out here from Nashville and sang your little, because he did a lot of country. It's like, you sang your little heart out and you won. Like, that's so awesome. And he's like, well, you sang better. I'm like, no, A, no, I didn't. And B, I'm in here all the time. But yeah, it was so much fun. Like, they were so thankful. They were like, we had a really good time visiting our friend Aaron and just coming out, but this was like such a good night. Like, we did dinner and a little bar hopping and sang and played pool. And I took them on a little scenic walk down by Clear Creek, which is the river that runs through Golden. And so we kind of walked near the water, and it was just like, I tried to get a little taste of, you know, my stomping ground with them. And I was a little worried because when we went to brunch, it was definitely a fancy brunch, and then the talk of like a big old seafood lobster dinner and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm not a high class person, you know, like if I don't mind a nice like little dingy dive bar and, you know, some order at the counter food at like a food hall, you know. So I was a little worried that they're going to be like, oh, but absolutely not. In fact, they were like, this was so nice just to do like the stuff we like to do. And I was like, oh, good. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way, because I was almost a little worried that I was a little too lowbrow, you know. So we had an absolute blast, and got them an Uber home because I was like, I'm right down the street and Scott really didn't drink, so we just did a little carpool action. And they kind of figured that. They're like, yeah, don't worry about feeling like you need to drive, you know, the 45-minute plus round trip to take us back down there. We'll do it. And surprisingly, the Uber was really cheap from Golden down there. It was like $20. And I was like, let me know if you need me to Venmo you. Like, I feel bad for making you find your own way. And they're like, no, we kind of had already planned that. And that they really hit it off with Scott well. And so it's just like, it's such a fun night. We had an absolute blast. So yeah, this morning we just kind of took it easy, and Matt sent me a text. He's like, hey, we're making our way to the airport. Thank you so much for a fantastic time. You need to come see us. And I was like, absolutely. And even Scott was like, we have to go. And I was like, okay. Like, he was more jazzed about the idea of coming along, because they're like, we'll have a party when you come and it'll be great. And I was like, okay. And Luke's like planning all this stuff. He already had like all these ideas of like, we could do this and we could do this. And I'm like, okay. And Scott was like, yes. So, yeah, I'd like to go this summer. And if Scott wants to go, I'd love to have him come along. So we'll start thinking about ideas for going to Nashville at some point this year. Would be fun. So yeah, this little poop eater extraordinaire over here. What can I do to get him to stop? I just don't know. The other day when we came out here, he tried to get up into the front seat and like lick me and stuff, and I was like, no, sit down, you little nasty. So we got home, and immediately I brushed his teeth and gave him another breath freshy bone. I was like, take a break from being anywhere near me. Go get a lot of water. It's like, oh. So I'm going to talk to the vet about it. He has a checkup on the 23rd or something of April scheduled. He has a couple shots that he needs. And then we're going to get him on heartworm medication. But I'm going to talk to her and be like, is it something lacking in his diet? Is it stress related? Like, is there anything I can do? And also, if there isn't anything I can do, is it unsafe for him? Like, do I have to stop bringing him on hikes and stuff? Whoops, I hadn't started recording a walk. There we go. Yay, it kept it. I love the Apple Watch. Like, it's like, hey, it looks like you're going on a walk. Is that what you're doing? And I'm like, yes. And it's like, perfect. We've already been tracking it all since you started. I love that. He looks so majestic in the snow with his coat so white. Come here. Come here. Let's go. Apollo. Okay. Apollo, let's go. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Go. This way. You have to start listening. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's that new, whatever that new shampoo is. It's giving him a very lustrous look about him. But yeah, it's just tough because there's so many animal smells and stuff out here that he listens. Like last time you saw, like if someone's coming up, he'll stop. But like, if he doesn't see a reason, then he's not going to. Let's go. Let's go. But, we'll get those obedience lessons going, and I'd also like to start taking him to the doggy daycare that's right down the street from the house. I keep saying it, and then I keep putting it off because I get nervous. But I'm just going to do it and be like, hey, if he's too much for you, call me. My job's flexible enough, I can come pick him up and bring him home. But he needs to start socializing as well. Hey, let's go. Go, 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 go. I hear a little chipmunk squeaking or something. I'm like, you better keep your mouth shut because you're gonna get annihilated by this dog. He doesn't seem to want to chase it or investigate. So yeah, we had an awesome Sunday. Today's been kind of a lazy day, but we're getting some exercise in. And then tonight I'd like to go home and try to get another section of Cozy Evening done. Maybe two, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I'm just kind of powering through it. I don't know what it is. I think it's just because at the end of the day, that artwork style isn't for me. Like that kind of Christmassy theme with the church and stuff, that's just, I would never pick that for myself. So it's hard to keep interested in it, but I'm just like, do it for your aunt. Do it for Aunt Marie. So I keep just kind of reminding myself, like, this is the last kit that I have that's a gift kit that I did not pick myself. And I think it's the only time I've ever done that, where I let somebody pick off the DAC website and I just bought it and am making it. All the other times I've gifted kits at stuff that I've liked and then finished and said, oh, this would be really awesome for this person, or I like it and it'll be for this person even before I bought it. But this is the first time that like somebody was like, I want this one done. I'm like, okay, I'll get it. So I think that's one of the, I just don't have a lot of personal investment in the image. So I'm just like, here we go. But I know she's gonna love it. So it'll be all worth it in the end. But like for my aunt, I gave her Yellow Frida. I had picked that out. That was already in my stash. And then Solo the Rose I gave to my uncle. That was was already actively working on it when I mentioned it to him, or mentioned it to his partner, like, do you think he'd like this? And he was like, oh yeah. So, and then Bumblebee for my mom, that one I picked out specifically because I thought she'd like it. So anyway, but yeah, getting that worked on. I'm trying to think about like game plan to try to get maybe another kit done or something like that before Summer with the Masters officially kicks off. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think I do really need to focus on just getting these whips done, but I'm like, I'd like to kit something up. But I really shouldn't. I have way too many already kitted up in in progress right now, but it's like, you know, the shiny new thing, especially going through my stash. I'm like, ooh, I'd love to work on this. It's almost like shopping through it all over again, like Deadly Sweet. I completely forgot about that image until I needed to put it in Google Keep, and I was like, I could dress this up and make it look so cool. It's like, no wonder I ordered this one. So there was that, and then there was another one that I was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about this, and I'm in love. Of course, all the Ivy Dollamore images I haven't done yet, like Fisher Gal and the mystery kit. I'm just like, oh man, these all need to be worked on. But, and Warm Witch. I'll probably save a couple of the witch ones for Drills and Chills and Festival of Witches 2023. I'll probably do Warm Witch and then Witch's Greenhouse. I'll probably do those two. I think that'll be kind of a theme for me, is just picking a couple Ivy Dollamore kits, as long as she keeps coming out with like witchy ones. So that'll be what I do for those two events over the course of them, because I did Cauldron of Myrrh and Moon Thief last year, and I really loved doing that, and they actually worked up really quick. So I was able to knock those out, and then I still had the rest of that event timeline to work on other whips, like starting Cozy Evening and stuff. So yeah, I have plenty to do for events. There's the Wizard of Oz themed event that Shay does each year. I forget which month that's in, but there's an Enos Guerrero image that I kind of forgot about that I have. So I've earmarked that for that event. And then really funny kind of backstory or history to the cross-stitch conversion event. So that originally was, I'm gonna go this way, let's see. I think this is the way we went last time. Originally, I had just been asked to co-host an event with Hannah over at Sparkling Spectrumite. She reached out to me, and this was at some point last year, maybe even like late fall last year. And I was like, sure. She's like, I'm still trying to come up with ideas for the theme, but I'd love to work with you or do an event with you. I think that'd be so fun. And I was like, heck yeah. So I was like, well, let's just kind of connect in January, because she was like, I'm thinking I want to do it during like the summer of 2023, or maybe spring. She's like, I really don't have a timeline. And I was like, well, let's just connect, at the beginning of the year, see where you're at, see where your heart's at for doing an event, and we'll just go from there. So we connected in January, and she's like, okay, well, between the last time we talked, I've got Sophie on board with doing an event too. And I was like, great, that'll be awesome. And she's like, I'm thinking I want to do like a Simona Candini event is kind of what I have in my head. And she had mentioned that artist to me prior as far as doing an event, and I was like, okay. So I looked up Simona Candini's artwork, and it's kind of the big-eyed girl situation, like it's kind of that Hannah Lynn kind of vibe, and that's not really my style. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I don't like any of these pieces. So I was like, let me find one that I really like. And without spoiling it, I ended up looking up the most recent Simona Candini mystery kit that Diamond Art Club did. And I was like, this is still not 100% my jam, but it's the theme is right for me. And the styling is right for me. I was like, this is kind of cool. So that's the one I ended up snagging. I was like, okay, well, I've got my kit for the event, and we'll be good to go. And then as we started having meetings to discuss, the theme and all that stuff, it quickly turned out that there just aren't a lot of options from that artist at Diamond Art Club right now. Like, majority of the kits are sold out. And so there's like, I think when we looked, there was like 3 images to pick from, and I was like, ugh, that's really tight. Apollo, come on, come on, come on, come on. He dodged me, which means he's got something in his mouth. What do you have? Apollo, stay. Hey, 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 easy. Oh, it's just a big old stick. Hey. I don't know if I want him eating that. I don't. This is my life. It's this dog misbehaving. Anyway, we just kind of decided that there wasn't enough variety currently from Diamond Art Club to launch an entire event and then only have like a couple kits for people to pick from. Let's go. Oh, he left the stick. He doesn't always completely chomp them to bits. He just wants to like gnaw on it for a second. And no, he still got it. Never mind. Let's go. Come on. Come on. It's like, why that one stick? What is it about that one stick that you have to try to eat? Let's go. So yeah, we just kind of decided, yeah, it's not enough variety. And then we were thinking, okay, well, let's do it as like a Simona Candini /this artist. And we just found a lot of overlap. Come on, let's go. Apollo, come on, let's go. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, he left it. There was just a lot of overlap with some of the artists that we were coming up with. So we were just like, we don't want to step on other people's toes. And I'm sure that those other, there was a chain on this when we were here. Oh, here it is. It's on the ground. Sorry, guys. Let me try to fix this. Guess I can run this through here. Yes. Okay, so this will go through here. And then this, that's not long enough. Oh no. Will it go around? I'll just do that. I mean, that's not really doing anything. Can I fit it under here? Maybe I'll just do this. I'll put it in the wood. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Good enough. Okay, let's go. Yeah, I don't think we'd get reprimanded by any person being like, hey, I'm doing an XYZ event. But I was like, I'd prefer not to overlap too much with other artist-specific events because, at least for me personally, if I was to do that, I would like to find an artist that no one's doing an event about right now, and then try to like connect with that artist and do spotlights and stuff. So I don't know. I was just like, if we can avoid picking an artist that other people are doing events around, I'd like to. And so then we tossed around the idea of doing like an anime specific event. And I I think that was just a little bit rough because it was like, okay, well now are we the gatekeepers on deciding what is considered anime? And are we going super traditional or more modern, anime influence? And at the end of the day, it probably could have been come one, come all, we'll just call it anime. But then I was also once again thinking like, okay, from a content standpoint, how do we add some value to that genre or topic? And like trying to stay I don't know. I just didn't know enough about it. And I don't think Sophie or Hannah either were like super confident that like we were the people that were going to be able to decide like, yeah, you can submit that kit. It falls under what we're considering anime, or no, sorry, that doesn't count. And then having to field a lot of that like well, actually, it does count. Like, I just was like, I don't know if I want to do that. So then Hannah was actually the one that brought up cross stitch. And then I was like, that actually really works because there's a lot of anime cross stitch patterns. So that could tie in, like, it's any and all artwork themes and styles and genres, as long as it's in the form of a cross stitch conversion and license. So that actually really worked because I was like, well, then now everyone can have fun. And there's actually a lot of really popular, like, DAC artists and Die Moon Shop artists that are licensed with cross stitch companies. So if you are the type of person that's like, oh, I really wanted to do this event, but I want to do an Enos Guerrero. Well, there are Enos Guerrero cross stitch conversion patterns, and then there's Christopher Lavelle ones. I've been looking at one to get myself. So you have a lot of those popular artists that are licensed to do cross stitch patterns, and so therefore you can do a conversion. Of course, they're a lot larger in like long-term projects, but they are there if you had your heart set on a particular artist, or you have some favorites. Is that snow good? You little snow dog? Let's go. So yeah, go, 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 go. That's a pine cone. I don't care if you get that. He's looking for something to play chase with or play keep away. Go, go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Oh my goodness, he's crazy. I'm like, I just want him to sprint and sprint and sprint the entire time. That way he's tired by the time we get home. Because he's just been kind of bopping. Like, no, you need to exercise. Let's go. Come on. Come on. So yeah, that's kind of the evolution of that event, was like taking kind of Hannah's ideas and just kind of contracting and expanding and finally landing on cross-stitch conversion. So yeah. And then, what is that? Summer with the Masters announcement videos have gone up. They go up tomorrow at the time of filming this, and I'm very excited. Like, I can't wait to see what the response is, and if there's a lot of people that have been waiting for announcements, or if people have questions. I'm kind of curious to see how today or tomorrow's going to play out, because this is the first announcement video I have for an event. Like, the one for Cross Stitch Conversion 23 hasn't come out yet. So I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to get a bunch of questions on rules and stuff. I hope I did a good job with explaining everything. But okay, we're just kind of coming through our first major clearing, so we can see the Flatirons, and they look different with the snow on them. Really pretty. The sun's a little bit higher in the sky, and there's less cloud cover, so you get the nice blue sky. Oh my goodness. One thing I totally forgot to bring with us is a second battery. And last time we did this, the battery died right before we were done. But I'm not going to go down that little side path this time. I'm going to stay the course. So hopefully it lasts all the way around. But if not, my apologies, and we'll probably finish up in the car if that's the case. And I don't have too much more to talk about. I guess I'm still trying to work through ideas for Summer with the Masters. I still need to connect with Katie on like the schedule and everything. And then we also need to work on, there's a Google Doc from the Diamonds and Emeralds Facebook group that has a list of all shops that carry only legally licensed artwork. So our plan is to go through that browse all those shops and see if they have old masters, and then put them on a separate list for the event of like, here's all the approved shops to get old masters, but they otherwise carry all legally licensed artwork, so you can feel confident about shopping with them. So yeah, and then once again, still brainstorming ideas, but I'd like to provide, I'd like to do a video of highlighting maybe like 4 or 5 cross-stitch pattern sites that focus on old, or have a lot of old masters, because I think there's going to be some people that will be doing a cross-stitch conversion for this event, as I am. So I'll do it in a more formal version where I can even give examples of some of the kits they have, but the short and sweet of it is there's a lot of options. My go-tos so far have been XS collectibles or cross-stitch collectibles. That's where I got Head of Medusa. If I can remember, I'll put a link for that. And they have a ton of old masters. Now, one thing to keep in mind with them, however, is their rendering style. Even though Medusa was a big piece and there was plenty of detail, their rendering style tends to try to keep the size at a relative minimum, or they try to condense it as much as they can. And so you do lose some detail. Once again, Medusa was plenty detailed, but if you take a good look at that image, there's like a little scorpion and like a spider and like some other details that are in kind of the dust towards the bottom. And the image that I did, they look just kind of like smudges. Like you can't really tell that they're insects, which kind of bummed me out. But at the same time, to get that amount of detail to see even like the smallest of bugs, that kit would have had to have been much larger. So it's kind of like which is, pick your poison, And so in that instance, since it was my first kit, I didn't mind losing a little bit of that just to keep it not too nuts. So just keep that in mind. They are more manageable sizes in the grand scheme of things, but you can potentially lose a little detail, but not so much that you can't make it out. We'll get to it at the end of this little spiel, but there is a set of images that I really wanted from them, but in getting some help from someone, I'm probably going to go a different route, but we'll get there. So next up, I'd say Threadbare. That's where I got the kit that I'll most likely be doing for Summer with the Masters. That cross-stitch conversion is from Threadbare, and they are much more highly detailed, yet they do a little bit more work to like hand chart and clean stuff up. I guess one of the owners of Threadbare is an engineer, and they designed their own software for converting their images into cross-stitch patterns, and so it's a little bit more refined. They try to maintain the detail, and they pay a lot of attention to getting just the right size to retain that detail without going too big, but they also offer options. So you can actually get that same kit in a smaller size, sacrificing some of that detail and clarity, but it might make it go faster. If you're okay with that, you can also go really big for maximum detail. And so, and then they also have a button on their site where you can click Diamond Art Chart. So they automatically remove any of the DMCs that aren't in diamond painting for you. So that's a lot more of a comprehensive site that gives you a lot of options to play with. And to be honest, if I had to pick another kit going forward, I'd probably go with another Threadbare canvas would probably be my next one, other than a different option, which once again we'll talk about. And then the third site that I have right now is Unconventional Cross Stitch. Apollo! I honestly have no idea. Oh, there he is. Hey, let's go! Unconventional Cross Stitch And wow, my voice really carries out here with the snow and everything. Let's go, let's go. This is what I wanted. Run, run, run. Run as fast as you can. Oh, hold on. Come here. I just saw a deer. Apollo, stay. Easy. I just saw a deer. Apollo, stay. Hold on. Good boy. Good boy. Let's get past that deer. First I thought it was a dog, and I was like, that's a big dog. So yeah, unconventional cross stitch has some really cool images. If you are a fan of the dark and macabre, or if you're looking for something maybe a little bit more risque or racy to do as a cross stitch pattern, go there. You have so many amazing kits. It's one of my favorite sites as far as like maybe some pushing the envelope images that I might want to do in the future. But I ended up ordering an old masters from them. I believe the artist's last name is Hokusai, but it's the same artist that did the Great Wave. This is a block print waterfall image, and it's kind of my makeup for having such a poor experience with the Gate of Hongo in snow. This is kind of like, yep, I see the tracks. It must have leaped over the fence. Okay, you're good. It went over the fence. Can you smell it? Yep, he sure can. So yeah, that's kind of my makeup piece for, you know, I want one of those classic Japanese woodblock print pieces in my home. And so throwing away Red Gate of Hongo in snow was such a huge bummer, but now I have this new one, and the company that I had the drills done by, the owner wrote me and she was like, I just want to let you know that this rendering is really good. Like, whoever did this did a fantastic job putting this together. I was like, oh, that's so good to hear. So yeah, unconventional cross stitch. They're the ones that carry Christopher Lavelle. They carry a number of other kind of like more dark art and a lot of racy stuff. So like, you know, images with nudity or like potential like gore, horror themes. They've got a lot of that stuff. They've got some really cutesy stuff that would just be fun to do as like a little mini kit. Like, they're not big cross stitch patterns, and they wouldn't be big diamond paintings, but they'd be really cute, like little pinup girls and pinup guys that I really like. So I could see myself picking some of those in the future. Apollo, hey, this way. He's booking it. Go, go, go. Are you loving it out here? Are you loving it out here? He's like, this is my element. I am home. Leave me here. Just chasing squirrels and groundhogs in nature and eating poop and eating snow. That's his life. So yeah, unconventional cross stitch. From what I am understanding, very good renderings, very good patterns, and the artwork is just not something you'll see elsewhere. So those are kind of my three that I've personally purchased from. And so I'd like to find one more maybe, so I can present maybe like 4 options to people. I'd love to find maybe a place that focuses maybe on more cutesy stuff, like maybe the stuff that I'm not traditionally like gravitating towards, and maybe some smaller images. So yeah, I'll put that. Oh, stay. 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 Good boy. You're not chasing him. You're not chasing him. He's not a deer. That's a person. That's not a deer. So yeah, maybe finding 1 or 2 more sites that I can at least like get the pattern from, order the stuff from, but once at the same time, I'm like, I don't need any more. It would just be for the sake of having more to show and tell. And I kind of also want to find maybe 1 more option for, and now we're just going down the cross-stitch conversion path, but I think there's going to be a lot of overlap of people who maybe start a big old Masters cross-stitch conversion for Summer with the Masters, and then keep going on it for cross-stitch conversion 23. Both events don't require a new start or a new finish, or don't require a new start and don't require a finish. So I could see people maybe having a kit that would work for both. And so, yeah, I'd like to maybe find one or two more. And like I said, like I was saying, find maybe another company to source materials from. Right now I've sourced them from Jade and then one other shop. So I'd like to have maybe like one or two more options. So I'll need to do some research. I know Diamond Drills USA could potentially be an option. So maybe I'll try to do it through them. I've only ever ordered one order of drills from them, and it was 5,200. And they looked like they were fine quality. So maybe I'll try ordering stuff from them. And then as far as canvases go, other than Jade and Heaven and Earth Designs, I just don't know of any. So if you know of like places that I can get drills or canvases from, let me know. Keep in mind, I'm pretty particular with my quality. I would prefer resin squares and like a nice quality canvas. And for the sake of being able to share that in these events, ideally they'd come from they would need to come from a shop that only carries legally licensed artwork. So I think that puts some of those AliExpress shops out of the running. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, I got my first Heaven and Earth Designs canvas. I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. It's for a project that I'm working on, but I'm loving that canvas feel. It's like linen-y canvasy. It's like more of your like traditional like canvas. It's not that velvet backing, soft plush. It's like canvas. And at first I didn't know how I'd feel about diamond painting on it. But I'm really liking it. Especially I could see myself working on an old Masters with that kind of linen, that kind of linen-y, canvasy feel. Just being like, I'm being taken back, to the time. There's some texture to it and like an earthiness to it. I don't know how to describe it, but I really like it. So yeah, I'll be able to share more about my thoughts and feelings on that project when I can, but I can say that I'm happy with the Heaven and Earth Designs canvas quality. When you select poured glue with them, they actually hand paint the poured glue onto the canvas, which is really cool. So there's just something very artisanal about the quality of their canvas that I'm just like, this is nice. So anyway, but yeah, so if you do know of any square resin drill suppliers and canvas suppliers that might pique my interest, please let me know, because I'd like to put together a video of not only for Summer with the Masters, but for the cross-stitch conversion event of here's like 3 options for sourcing your drills, 3 or 4 options. Here's 3 or 4 options for sourcing your canvases, and you can mix and match as you see fit. That's kind of the ideal, and then I'd love to have the actual product from each of those companies, so I could work on, during the cross-stitch conversion event, maybe have 3 or 4 projects of varying sizes and themes and color palettes and stuff kind of going at the same time, so I can talk a little bit about, some of the differences. And I probably wouldn't be doing a direct comparison of like this small shop versus this small shop, but I'd probably just do individual videos highlighting each one and the pros and the cons and all that stuff, so you can kind of decide for yourself, like, ooh, I like hearing that they offer this, or I might not like that. So I think that's kind of the structure I'd like to have, is to provide everyone like a variety of options. I don't want it to be, even though I love Jaded Gem Shop, look at this over here. Let's come take a look. Apollo, stay here. Look at this. Siri thought I was talking to her, and she's like, I'm working on it, still working on it. I'm like, I didn't ask you to do nothing. Something did go wrong, ma'am. Gorgeous. So yeah, they definitely have like a cooler look when they've got the snow on them. So anyway, let's keep rolling. Where are we at? Let's see. Oh, of course. Of course. I don't know what it is, but my Apple products have been getting on my nerves recently. Just like nothing seems to really work the way I want it to work. The one thing that's been really annoying, I can't even tell you where I'm at with my workout. Okay, apparently we just hit 2 miles. Yes, oh my goodness. Yeah, like the thing that's really getting annoying, and I need to turn it off. I think there's a way to turn it off. But if you hit the power and volume button and hold it on your phone, it goes into like, should we call 911? And so this morning I clipped it into my little holder, and the little holder hit the 2 buttons just in the right way. It's like, bleep, bleep, calling 911 in 6 seconds. I'm like, stop. So I need to disable that. And then on my phone, on my watch, if you press and hold the activity button and one of the other buttons at the same time, it does the same thing. It tries to dial 911. So when my fat little wrists are like planted down on a table, or I was leaning on the car seat today to reach over to organize all of my equipment that I was bringing with me, I had my hand flat on the seat with my arm up, and so my wrist fat was pressing the buttons. It's like calling 911. I'm like, stop doing that. So it's just, that stuff's getting on my nerves. I feel like I've been trying to commit to not upgrading as much as I used to. I used to be a total Apple fanatic. And so anytime a new product would come out, or a new iPhone, every year I'd get it. It didn't matter what condition my current one was in. I was like up at midnight doing the pre-orders. And I kind of stopped doing that just because it's just not, I was spending a lot of money on upgrading a phone that didn't need to be upgraded. So I decided to hold on to this phone. So this will be, I think they're coming out with iPhone 15 this fall, and I'm on 12. But it's definitely starting to act up and not holding a charge as long. And it's just like, come on. Like, so I'm almost feeling like I need to go get a new phone just because it's starting to do these little wonky things. And I'm like, I don't like this whole like planned obsolescence stuff. It gets on my nerves because the real iPhone nerds, they're going to buy it regardless. Like, I was one of them. I didn't really care if my phone was degrading or not. Like, I just got the new one because I always wanted to have the latest and greatest, you know? And there was so many people that are like that. There's whole like Facebook communities and forums and podcasts and stuff devoted to the nerds that are like, not nerds, but people that are just like love technology, you know, and love Apple. And so I'm like, you're going to make plenty of money from the folks that don't care if their phone is breaking. That's not the reason for getting a new one. And you could absolutely have a successful business just based off of those people, if not way more. So the fact that there's like just software, like lack of software updates, random glitches, just little odds and ends that start happening as your phone gets older that are completely like things that don't have to happen, but they just don't support any sort of bug fixes and stuff after a while because it encourages people to get a new phone. And the same with the battery. It's like battery replacements should be very inexpensive for the consumer. Like, they've really made it super hard for, if not impossible, for you to just take your phone in and be like, hey, the battery's degrading, it's 5 years old, can you pop a new one in there? It's like, no, you need to get a new phone. It's like, that's so frustrating. So, what was I listening to? I think I was listening to a podcast or something, and they were just talking about like how insane that kind of stuff is. Because, like, you know, back in the day, you could get a phone. Hey, Apollo, let's go. You could get like a replacement phone battery for your Nokia for like 20 bucks. Just pop a new brick in the back and be good to go. But now it's like the whole thing of like, well, now it's built into the phone, so you, as a consumer, you can't do it. And I guess one of the reasons why they ended up going that route is they got a lot of consumer feedback, like Samsung and those companies did, of one of the reasons why people would go for iPhone over Samsung is because the Samsung phones felt cheap because they had that little plastic cover in the back so you could swap the battery out. And so there was just complaints that like the quality just felt clunky and cheap and plasticky because the back was removable. He's got the biggest piece of poop. Apollo! Oh, disgusting. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to get this one out. That's really gross. Hold on. Okay, sorry, that was too gross to ignore. It's like you can't eat a baseball-sized piece of poop. I just simply won't allow it. So I chased him, he dropped it. Chased him some more until I convinced him to get close, and now he's locked up on his leash, which is fine because we're kind of coming around to the, not the last portion of this, but we're at a little over 2.37 miles. So we're just gonna keep him on leash the rest of the time. I feel bad, but that was really gross. Hey. So anyway, yeah, it'd be nice to provide some kind of options or variety for folks, for not only Summer with the Masters, but the cross stitch event. And if I could actually speak to, like, I've had these drills and this canvas in my hands, and here's what I think that'd be awesome. So any suggestions that you have, let me know. And then let's pass this gentleman, and then I'll talk about the last thing that I wanted to talk in regards to that stuff. If I can even remember what it was. Oh no. Oh yes. Okay. I have it, and I won't let it go. Ooh, it's getting colder. We got like the briefest amount of snow for like a second, but seems to have dissipated. Hi. Okay. So yeah, I guess the last topic, and then maybe I'll just do a time lapse the rest of the way to the car. That I'll say my goodbyes when we get down there. But a couple months ago, I think it was, I had reached out to Jade over at Jaded Gem Shop and let her know that I've been like throwing this idea at her of like she needs to get this kit, on the site. But it's The Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch. I really fell in love with that triptych after seeing it on a YouTube series called Perspective. That's kind of where I go for a lot of my art history information. Or that's where I discover a lot of like artwork I've never seen before, is through that show. The host kind of does like these long form multi-episode documentaries about a particular era of artwork, and I think they usually run on the BBC, but then they will combine them all into one long video on YouTube. So it's like 5 episodes put together. So it'll be like a 3.5 hour video or a 4 hour video just diving into like Renaissance art and all its forms and all of that stuff. So it's really cool. And so that's where I kind of found that image for the first time. And it's actually 3 different pieces. So it's a triptych. So there's one panel on the left that's kind of like the Garden of Eden. And then the middle panel or the middle piece isn't a panel, it's like a full square. And that's kind of like, you know, humans living in sin or whatever. And then the right panel is hell, essentially. So I was really drawn to it. I think it's really cool. There's a lot of weird kind of detailing to it. And Hieronymus Bosch is oftentimes noted as like the originator of the surrealist kind of style. Like if you see some of his images, you'll definitely get like Dali vibes and, you know, that kind of thing. So I really fell in love with the color palette and the imagery, all that stuff. So I reached out to Jade and was like, hey, it'd be cool if you did Hieronymus Bosch Garden of Earthly Delights. And she's like, oh, actually, I've been working on that center image to put on the shop. And I was like, oh, awesome. I was like, well, what about the other two? And she's like, other two? And I was like, there's these panels that go on either side of that. She's like, oh, cool. And I was like, would you mind, you know, working on that for me as a cross stitch pattern? So she started working on it. I don't know how much work she put into it, but I know there was like a lot of photoshopping that would have to be done, and because there's so much finite detail in those images that like tiny little figures, tiny little monsters and bats and weird stuff, like it's just like a lot of detail. So in order for that to translate in a cross stitch conversion, you either need to go through and remove some of the detail, clean up some stuff, sharpen some things. Like you have to do quite a bit of work if you don't want a giant, massive kit. And so she worked on that for a little bit, and then I ended up finding those images, the left, the center, and the right, on Cross Stitch Collectibles already done. And I was like, why am I putting Jade through all of this work when I could just go over to Cross Stitch Collectibles and get those 3 kits and be done with it? So I wrote her and I was like, hey, I don't know how many man hours you put into this, but I would, you know, if it's taking too much of your time and it's just a long-term project to work on doing all this editing and cleaning up and resizing and scaling, let me just order it off of Cross Stitch Collectibles and I'll pay you for your time that you've invested so far into working on this for me. I really appreciate it. And she was like, it's no trouble at all. Look at this view. It's gorgeous. I feel like you can see forever. Apollo, do you like this view? You can see so much poop at this angle. So she wrote me back. She's like, don't worry about it. I hadn't done like a ton of stuff, you know. I had just played around on Photoshop with it for a little bit, so no worries. And then lo and behold, I saw that she put the center piece on her site as like a regular kit, like a pre-made kit. So I was like, okay, at least I wasn't like that work wasn't in vain. She was able to get it up on the site after doing that editing and stuff, because I'm pretty sure she was going to do that and then just run it through a cross-stitch pattern software for me. So I don't think she was doing anything especially for me that she's like out now, you know. But she told me not to worry about it. So what I did is I took a look at the ones that were on Cross Stitch Collectibles, and the sizing just, the panels are about the size of head of Medusa, but you know, standing tall, because they're panels. They're about the size of head of Medusa, but the detail in those images is so much more intense. And I was like, if they were unable to get that scorpion or that spider to come through, and those are pretty big on the canvas, then I highly doubt they're gonna get all these tiny little figures and different poses and all these little like nuanced details that really tell the story of that image. I don't think that size is gonna be able to do that justice at all. And so I reached out to a friend. Well, I'll just say I have a crafty friend. We'll just say that. So I reached out to a crafty friend. It's the same person that taught me how to use pixel stitch. And they were like, okay, what I can do is I will pull these images, or I'll pull one of the panels from Wiki Art, because since it's old masters, you can find some high resolution images for free. She's like, let me pull this. I'll run it through pixel stitch at the resolution that Cross Stitch Collectibles has it listed as, so you can actually see what that pixelation is going to look like at that size. And then I'll also do it in a couple larger sizes so you can see what it looks like as you get bigger. So you can tell how big this has to be for you to actually get the detail that you're looking for. I'm gonna let you off. Don't mess this up. So I was like, okay. So she sent me, I think it's the Hell one, in the size that Cross Stitch Collectibles has it listed as. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, it was very blurry. You couldn't really make out much of anything other than like the key focal points, like the big pieces, that images or figures that were on the canvas. Everything else was just kind of smudged out, really pixelated, which is kind of what I expected. Now, granted, in cross stitch, like actual cross stitch, that might come together a lot better because, you know, your stitches are a little bit smaller. I think there's a softness to working with thread and fabric that's gonna kind of help to bring that together. But when you're talking about those square pixel drills, it just didn't look that hot. So I'm glad I didn't go all, full bore and order all of that stuff, because it would have been quite expensive. And only to see that detail, I probably would have been really disappointed. So I'm glad that we did this kind of mock-up. And so she sent me one larger size, which I still wasn't into. And then she sent me the largest size, and she's like, I think this is kind of the sweet spot for this. Like, you don't really need to go that much bigger than this, but this gives you the right amount of detail. And she also kind of fussed with the colors a little bit. That way the color count was down, but you still retain the detail. And it was like a 130 wide, I think, or 120 wide by like 260 or something like that. Like, huge canvas. So much so that if I was to order it for the canvases from Heaven and Earth Designs, I'd have to split them in two. So I'd probably do 2 pieces stacked on top of each other. So she sent me that and was like, okay, so let's do the math here. If I wanted to do all 3 pieces, I'd need 2 each for either panel on either side, so 4, and then probably 4 canvases for the center, because that's twice as wide as the 2 side pieces. Essentially, it's mounted in a cabinet, so the cabinet closes, and when you open the cabinet, it reveals all the pieces. So the 2 on the side are exactly half the size as the middle one in width. So I'd need a total of 8, like 120 by 140 canvases, or 120 by something canvases. And then, in addition to that, the original cabinet that this whole triptych, this whole story was put in, when you close the cabinet, there's 2 more images. And it's one image split in half, but painted separately. And it is the beginning of the world, creation. So there's like God kind of floating off in this kind of like bubble in the corner. And then it's the whole world inside this dome, and it's all done in kind of a grayscale. And it's really cool, very, very kind of ominous looking. It's just such a unique piece, and it's all done in this cabinet that's like painted in black with like this gold trim. It just gives me kind of like occult kind of vibes on the outside, and then I don't know, it's just like, it's just so weird. It's so weird and interesting, and it's a conversation starter for sure. And so I told my crafty pal, I was like, I think once I destash and really refine my like what I have and get through this year's projects that I have and events, I think I'm gonna order. I don't know how I do it. I'd love to do that to use as a comparison of a bunch of different shops. Hold up. Good boy. It is chilly. I'd like to do that as a comparison from a bunch of different shops. So like get one panels, canvases, and drills from a couple companies, like mix it up a little bit so it all came from different places, because I don't think you're going to be able to notice a difference in dye lots if they're like two completely separate paintings. But this would be a multi-year project. It would be huge, because I would also intend on building the frame and painting it and actually displaying it as a cabinet. But if you think like 280 centimeters is about 9 feet tall, so I'm like, I don't even have a house with that tall of ceilings. Like, where would this go? And the original image, I think, is even bigger. Like, the original, like, actual painting from Hieronymus Bosch is even larger. So this thing is like this massive, 8 or 9 feet tall cabinet. Each of the doors is about 4 feet or 5 feet wide. So you'd have to have 5 feet of clearance for them to open up. Like, this would take up my entire bedroom, and then some. So I'm like, how do I do this practically? So I think I'd have to sacrifice a little bit of that detail to make it work. And then at the end of the day, maybe this just isn't an image that's meant to be done as a diamond painting. I know Jade has it out, the center panel out. I think that would be the easiest one to get the detail from because it's twice as wide, but I would have to assume that she's done some work to, like, you're not getting every little, wing and like one little stick figure in the corner doing something weird. Like, I don't know if she was able to get all of that in there. Maybe. But from what I was able to see through Pixel Stitch, to truly get the image as crisp as the original, you would have to have a massive, massive painting. But so I just don't know if it can be done. But I'm gonna keep thinking about it. I'm gonna keep researching and maybe fiddle with Pixel Stitch some more, maybe to get to a happy middle ground in my own head of like, okay, that looks good enough, but now it's only 220 centimeters tall, or something like that. I don't know. But if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And I've done some cabinetry work in my previous years, and it seems like it would be something pretty easy to put together, the cabinets. So I think it'd be so cool to have like maybe a really long project like that, but then also fashion a cabinet to hang it all in, and it'd be so cool, but it's gonna have to be so big and so expensive. I was writing this person, my crafty friend, and I was like, okay, if I take how much it costs me to order drills from XYZ kit that's about, the same size, if I extrapolate on that, so not only would I need the 8 canvases for the inside, but then that black and white globe on the outside would need 4 canvases, 2 on each side. So I'm like 12 big old canvases from Heaven and Earth Designs at probably $70 a pop. So, $800 in canvases, or there and about $700 some odd dollars in canvases, and then probably $300 in drills per canvas times 12. So I mean, you're talking about a total project just in diamond painting materials that would be like $4,500 plus all the wood, and you're probably talking about a $5,000 project when all's said and done, top to bottom. And it's just like, holy crap. like is like I envision seeing it in person when it's all done and being completely awestruck by it. But is that even in the realm of possibilities? I don't know. I don't know. It would take me so long to do that, and the only way I could make it work in my head is if I completely stopped purchasing any other diamond paintings and I purchased that project pieces at a time. Like, I couldn't just drop all that money all at once and be like, send it all to me and I'll have it all here. I'd have to be like, okay, I'd like to buy the top half of the right panel and do that for half a year and then do the next one. So it'd be like 6 years of putting it together. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I love the idea of it. I love the idea of having that in all of its glory in a size that will allow you to see every little piece. But at the same time, I don't think it's very practical, because even if I was to get it that big, the viewing distance with which you'd have to stand for it to really all come together, even if I could get it down to 6 feet tall, let's say 6 feet tall in a house that has 8-foot ceilings, okay, fine. But where you'd have to stand in order to see that, you wouldn't be able to get really up close and be like, oh my gosh, look at this figure is here doing this, because once you get that close, I don't know if you're going to be able to, the pixels will just start to blur, once you get your face really up close to it. Whereas in a traditional painting, you can get that close and still see those fine brush strokes and stuff. So you can analyze, with your face up again, a couple feet away. But with the diamond painting, it's like the closer you get, the harder it is to kind of get that. So I don't know. Once again, I love the idea of it. I just don't know if it's practical. Maybe the right thing to do is to get that one from Jade at that smaller size and kind of see what it looks like and do it. And if that's a proof of concept that yes, you can get that amount of detail for this image in a diamond painting, then maybe I'll pursue doing it again at 4 times the size, But I want to so bad. I'm like, that will be my crowning achievement, is having the entire Garden of Earthly Delights in its cabinet with the outside pieces, which I think are a lot more rare to come by as far as good images, because most people focus on the inside. But the outside globe is really cool if you haven't gotten a chance to see it. Well, we're back, Apollo. We're back. We did 3.52 miles. So a little bit less than last time because we didn't take that detour. But we got the unlimited parking, which is cool. And you don't even have to get like a tag or anything. It's just registered with the county, so you're good to go. But let me know what you think of that big old Hieronymus Bosch. Is that just insane? I think it is, but I think it'd be cool. I honestly just don't know if it's like the physics of it don't make any sense. That amount of drills too would be like, I don't know, probably around 1.3 million drills approximately. So yeah, that's a little crazy. All right, well, I'm gonna let you go. Actually, you know what? We'll finish in the car because I just want to get in and get warmed up. Hold on. Okie dokie. So, all clipped back in. I are all done as far as getting settled in the car. Get the heat going just a touch. Get the heated seat going. I have the mic right above my head right now, as opposed to clipped onto the seatbelt. So, let me know if you can tell any sort of difference. I'm pulling out of the parking lot, and parked next to us is a new Jeep Grand Cherokee hybrid, like a plug-in hybrid. And I knew that they were coming out with them, but I've never seen one in person. And I'm very curious because next year I may be in the market for upgrading. It looks good. I don't know if I'm a Jeep kind of guy, though. It looks good, though. But I just want something that gets decent gas mileage. Okay. My nose is running. Ooh, it was cold out there. We're looking at 40 degrees now. It feels colder than that because I think the wind. Whew. Well, we're going to head home here. And I'm probably going to stop and get some sort of coffee drink because I need to warm up. We burned 500 calories. Nice. So yeah, just wrapping up that topic. I don't know how possible or practical it would be to ever do a kit that is that ginormous, but it would be really cool to do it. And I'd be up for the challenge, I guess. I'd have to get like a second job to justify buying that. But like I was saying, it's like if I got it over time and just never bought any other kits and just got those one piece at a time, then it would probably be as, maybe not as much or maybe more than I've spent on diamond paintings in the past year. But yeah, if it was like, okay, you're gonna do this $1,000 a year at a time for 5 years, I don't know, it just sounds insane. But I could totally see something like that hanging and just being like, my word, this is incredible. But anyway, maybe it's just a pipe dream, and it most likely is. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to mention. Yeah, that's right. So I am doing a walking challenge, virtual walking challenge with Jeffrey Morrison over on Echoes of Color. He is an awesome content creator. He does a lot of really awesome whip-in chats. I need to see if he did any over the weekend. I know he started a new job, and so I don't know how much time he's going to have to do whip-in chats these days, but he typically does multiple whip-in chats like in a day. Like he'll do like 30 minutes, take a break, come back and keep chatting and do like a few of them. And so his content is awesome. It's very relaxing and he's just fun to listen to. But he got me interested in the Conquer walking challenges. And so I signed up for the Road to Hana a month or so ago, and finished that really quickly. And they sent me this beautiful medal. I shared it on the channel. And then I started doing the Great Wall of China, and it's like 2,800 something miles. Well, it turns out that he was planning on doing that one next, so he just started it, I think like a week or so ago, and then added me to a group. So now we're walking it together. So every mile that I do gets put towards the progress, so on and so forth. So we're trying to like tackle it together. You still complete the challenge independently, but it goes towards like a cumulative group goal. So, so now every mile or whatever I do now goes to help that out. So that was really fun, it's going to be really fun. And yeah, I'm hoping that, like I said, his work schedule changed recently, but I'm hoping that we'll get the chance to maybe do like a creator spotlight or something like that. I'd love to he's really into sci-fi. He's mentioned the Expanse books, and that's a series that I've read a portion of and plan to keep reading. And so I think we have a lot of similar interests. I was like, it'd be cool to do like a space or like sci-fi themed kit at the same time or something like that. I've been trying to workshop some ideas. But I forget, he's working on something right now from like Paint with Diamonds, I think. But anyway, so yeah, that's been encouraging me to get out and do more miles each day. I'm trying to get like 6 done a day, so I can contribute to our like common goal of walking the Great Wall of China. So if that is something that you might be interested in trying and wanting to do, I could even see us doing a diamond painting specific like team. So like crafters, content creators, whoever that's doing diamond painting. If you guys want to get in on a walking challenge, it might encourage you to get out and get more active. He does a lot of his work on a treadmill. It still counts if you're on a treadmill too. So if you're trying to get more active, trying to get more steps in, and you think that might encourage you is to be part of like a group, I encourage you to go take a look at the Conqueror site. I'll put a link down in the description box. Each of the challenges I think is right around $30, but you get these really cool elaborate medals when you're all done with your challenge that I think kind of make it worth it. And the motivation to get healthy I think is worth it too. Even the really long ones are the same price. So like the road to Hana was 60 miles. This is like 2,000 something, but they were the same price. And you can get bundle deals if you want to sign up or purchase multiple challenges. So take a look. If it sounds like something that you might be interested in, message me, leave a comment, message me on Instagram like, hey, I'd love to do a Conqueror challenge with you and Jeffrey, or just, with whoever's available. Let me know, and then also let me know which route you'd be interested in doing. That way I can keep a list, and then maybe this summer I can launch something where we just do hiking challenges together. And yeah, it would almost be cool to like be like, okay, today's our day to get some miles in, so I'll intentionally do a video that day where it's like talking about the team members and stuff. I don't know. I think it'd be fun just to encourage people to get out and get some steps in, be more active. Let me know if that's something you'd be wanting to participate in. I mean, there is a cost associated because every person has to buy the challenge, but it would be fun. I wouldn't even mind gifting, maybe doing a giveaway once I hit a certain number of subscribers or something where I give away a challenge. I think that might be fun. So let me know. Let me know if you might be at all interested in walking with me, and we could see each other's progress. I don't know. I like some of that stuff, like that group motivation I like it. It keeps me moving. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much for watching. We're gonna get some coffee, go home, and I'm gonna probably diamond paint a little bit, finish tidying up the house, and then tomorrow we're getting up early and we're going skiing. So I need to charge everything. I need to download these files off of the camera because I need plenty of storage space for that trip. I think it's gonna be a long one. We'll see though. We'll see. I'm hoping it's a long one. I want to give him plenty of exercise. So, all right. Well, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with friends, family members, anyone that you think might take some value out of this content. Otherwise, yeah, thanks so much for watching, continuing to watch. I'm excited for this year, and as always, happy placing. Bye, 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 bye. Say bye. Can you give me a high five? Ow, ow, ow. Okay, bye.